Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is the astrology for the week of November 8th to November 15th, 2021. Now for this video, I will just give you the brief background about 2 to 3 events that happened last week. Then I will give you the highlights for this week, and then I will break down the energies in the chart. And towards the end of the video, I will pick a card for the week's energy and then just sum it out. And this video is broken down into chapters, so you can click on whichever part you want to watch and go directly to that. So getting into the background, I want to talk about 3 things. And the first is that we enter this week with the new moon in Scorpio energy that happened on November 4th, last week, Thursday. And that energy is all about transformation, it's about endings, it's about beginnings, and it's an energy about catharsis and spiritual healing as well. So coming into this week, that's the work that we will be doing: transforming, ending things, beginning things, and healing in many ways. And the second thing I want to mention is that Venus and Mercury both changed signs last week. Venus entered Capricorn and Mercury entered Scorpio. Now, this is a shift in how we approach our relationships and projects. Now, up until last week, till about Friday, the energy when it came to our relationships or the projects we were working on was a lot about exploring them, experimenting with them to some degree. And now it's different. Now it's about committing to these things, and it's about being serious about these things. And Venus is going to retrograde in Capricorn by the end of the year. So this energy when it comes to our relationships and projects will really test our commitment to these things, and we will figure out what we want to commit to or not when it comes to relationships and projects. And this week is also a week of intense communication. Mercury is in Scorpio now, it's moved out of Libra, and now it's not diplomatic. Now it's about what's the truth. We are going to think deeply, we are going to communicate intensely to find the truth. So, this week is an intense week if we look at it from a point of view of Mercury and Scorpio, Mercury and Venus in different signs, and the fact that this is the week where we'll do a lot of the work connected to the new moon in Scorpio about transforming and endings and beginnings. Now, that was the background. Now, getting into the highlights for this week, we have a few important events happening this week as well. And we have Mercury and Mars conjuncting each other this week. We have Mercury squaring Saturn. We have Mars squaring Saturn. And towards the end of the week, we'll also have Mercury opposing Uranus and Venus squaring Chiron. We will also have a positive aspect with the Sun and Neptune trine. So it is another intense week, and intense does not always mean negative, right? Squares and oppositions are the aspects that bring about change, that help us grow. So it might feel intense, but we must never forget that good things are happening, change is happening. And the new moon in Scorpio energy, although intense, although about endings and transforming and beginnings, is also an energy that has some positivity to it. There's a silver lining to this whole thing. So keep that in mind as we go through this week, right? And now let's get into the chart. So you can see Monday's chart open on the screen, and the first important thing happens at about 7 a.m. Pacific time. Now, I am going to break down the energy based on Pacific time, but you can always convert this to your time zone, or just add a few hours if you're on the eastern side of the world. And if I say maybe Monday morning, think of it like Monday evening or Monday night if you're on the eastern part of the world. And use it as a ballpark, just figure out where the energy is going to peak for you. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. And what's happening, the first thing on Monday is that we have the moon at 9 degrees of Capricorn in a square with Chiron. So we begin Monday morning with this feeling of feeling a little wounded, a little bit of pain, and that's because Chiron is there. Chiron is the planet of our pain and our wounds, and the moon is our emotions. So emotionally, we're feeling these wounds that we have, but Chiron also heals us. So that's the positive in this, that through facing those wounds and that pain, there's some bittersweet healing. And the good thing about the moon is that it moves very fast, right? So we'll see this energy last only a couple of hours and then things ease off. And Pacific time, this is about 8 a.m. So if you're on the eastern part of the world, this will be more like Monday evening for you. So that's the energy. And then Monday is a day where we don't have too many aspects. So at about noon, we do have another aspect, and this is a positive one. So this is 1 p.m. Pacific time, so around late night eastern part of the world. And what's happening here is that the moon in Capricorn is in a trine with Uranus. So this could be a moment where we change our emotions suddenly, or we go through a moment of adjusting our emotions, changing our emotions in a way that connects us more with our unique, authentic self. But this energy does not feel stressful. It's a positive aspect, and all the changes, if we need to make those changes to our emotions or how we feel, will happen quite automatically. We won't need to make that effort, right? Because sometimes we need to make an effort to make ourselves feel good or change something, but this is just happening organically. And that's it for Monday. But so Monday, to sum it up, is a day where in the morning, if you're on the western side of the world, and in the evening, if you're on the eastern side of the world, we can feel a little wounded, but then we go through a slight change in our emotions or something like that that comes about naturally. But we do feel some intensity on Monday because we do have Mars here at 6 degrees building its square to Saturn. So this will not come exact on Monday, but we'll feel that intensity, right? I'll talk more about this when I speak of the Mars Saturn square, but we'll start to feel some intensity. So that's Monday. Now, moving on to Tuesday, we have the first important thing at about 8 a.m. Pacific time, and or actually, this is 9 a.m. Pacific time, so 9 morning Pacific time, and that makes it about Tuesday evening eastern part of the world. And what's happening here is that the moon has conjuncted Pluto, right? Now, this transit does not feel very easy, to be honest with you. Pluto is the planet of transformation and catharsis and healing, and Pluto energy can feel heavy, right? And now it's contacting the moon, our emotions. So we can feel emotionally heavy at this point. We may be releasing a lot of emotions at this point, or we may be changing up our emotions, transforming them so that we can heal. But the process does not feel very easy. It does not mean it's negative. It just means that we have that feeling of feeling a little not the best at this moment, and again it will pass. Just release those emotions, let them go, because that's what Pluto does. A lot of release, a lot of purification, a lot of endings. It could be an end of an emotional pattern at this point. So let this energy pass, right? If it's bothering you. And that's in the morning. And then the whole day we don't see anything much happening. And then towards the evening, the moon changes signs, right? So this is about 7 p.m. Pacific time, so probably really early morning eastern part of the world. And what's happening here is that the moon has entered the sign of Aquarius, right? Now, this is a moment where the intensity will start to pick up a little bit more, a notch higher, and that's because the moon has changed signs. And it changes signs every 2.5 days, and when it does, the energy in our life, the focus in our life shifts in subtle ways up until about 7 p.m. Pacific time, so about early morning Wednesday, eastern part of the world. The moon is in Capricorn, so a lot of focus is on work and being disciplined and being serious. And that's not easy either, but now it's a little bit more intense because the moon is in Aquarius, where we have Saturn, right? Saturn's in Aquarius. And the moon and Saturn don't really like to be together. And That's because Saturn is the planet of hard work and discipline and decisions and commitments, and our emotions don't really like that. So that's why they don't see eye to eye. And as the moon approaches Saturn, as our emotions approach the planet of commitment and hard work and discipline, we begin to get stressed. So that's the energy. So that happens in the evening, and we have both Mercury and Mars building their conjunction on Tuesday. We will also see Mars building its square to Saturn, and the intensity peak a little more than what it was on Monday. So Tuesday evening is really when the intensity starts to pick up Pacific time, and early Wednesday morning. Now moving on to Wednesday, the first important thing happens at about 5 a.m. and we can see it here. Mercury and Mars have conjuncted, right? They've met each other. And this is 5 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesday morning, and that makes it about evening, early evening, eastern part of the world. And what is this energy? Let's break that down. Mars is our drive, it's taking action, it's moving forward, and Mercury is the planet of our logical mind and communication and thinking. And now they've met up. So this could give us a lot of mental focus, this could give us a lot of drive when it comes to communicating things, or courage to communicate things that we might not have been able to before. And that's the positive of this energy. But the negative of this energy is that it can cause us to get a little angry, right? Because Mars is also anger and frustration, and now it's contacting our mind, right? It's meeting up with our mind. So there's a tendency to get angry and frustrated with this energy. But at the same time, we can manifest this energy by communicating in a courageous way, not an angry way, in a courageous way, and really finding that clarity of thought in many ways, and decisiveness as well. So that's the energy, and this energy is building its square to Saturn. So we will feel a sense of hard work, a sense of commitment, a sense of discipline as we are finding this emotional courage to communicate, or as we are finding this clarity of thought to take action, or as we are getting frustrated and angry. Saturn here is demanding a decision, it's demanding commitment, it's demanding hard work. So this is not the easiest feeling. It does not mean it's negative, it just means it's something we have to work through, right? And I will speak more about this square to Saturn when I speak about when the square comes exact. Okay, now moving on to about, so this is 5 a.m., right? Moving on to about 7:30 a.m. We have the moon conjunct Saturn, and you can see this energy is also in a square to this. It's not exact yet, but it's in a square. And the moon and Saturn, like I said, don't really like to be together. So this is a moment where we can feel a little low, a little depressed. We can feel like we are asked to work hard on our emotions, or we're just working very hard and feeling stuck. So this is that energy. And to be very honest with you, I would rather give you positive aspects and positive energies, but I have to read what's there, and sometimes it's intense. And I have to tell you the truth, right? That's my job, to give you the energy as it is. And intensity does not mean negativity, right? So just keep that in mind as I go through this week, because this is a very intense week, and that's just the energy, right? It's not me, I'm not making this up. It's there on the chart, and I'm just interpreting it. So, coming back to this, Saturn moon can feel frustrated, it can feel a little bit of feeling low, it can feel like I'm feeling stuck. It's all those feelings, and with the square to this conjunction right here, there's a tendency of anger and frustration as well. Alternatively, this is one of those moments where we can really, take that hard decision or make that commitment, because that's Saturn as well. sometimes out of frustration or out of a lot of pressure, because a square is pressure and friction. Out of that energy, we come to a conclusion. I'm not doing this ever again. I'm okay. This is what I want to do. So it's that sort of energy. So don't let it frustrate you. Don't let it get you down. Instead, use it to take a decision, use it to make commitments, use it to change things up, use it to communicate in a courageous way. So that's the energy. And Wednesday is the most intense day of the week, and we'll see a lot of intensity on Wednesday. Because soon after this, especially in the morning on Wednesday, because soon after this, what happens is that Mercury, I spoke about this energy as a whole, right? So we see Mercury square Saturn, right, at about 9 a.m. Pacific time. And Mercury squaring Saturn is a definition, it's a commitment to our thinking, to our habits, to our lifestyle, to our job, all these things, Mercury related things. But I think it's more a logical decision or a commitment that is required to Mercury things, to our routine, to our health, to our job, to our lifestyle, that is being demanded by Saturn at this point, 9 a.m. Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening for the eastern part of the world. So that's the energy. But throughout this energy, there is a healing, because the moon does move on to 8 degrees, to 9 degrees, and it does sextile Chiron. So as we go through these intense transits, as we are asked to commit and decide and really define our path, our thinking, our communication, our emotions, which feels intense, there's a silver lining in that. There's a healing. There's a healing. The moon is aspecting Chiron throughout all this energy. So there's a healing as well. And towards 3 p.m. in the afternoon, so this is more like at night time, Eastern time, what's happening here is that Mars and Saturn have come exact in their square. Right now, the square has come exact, and Mars and Saturn is a definition, a decision, a commitment, hard work to taking action, right? To how we take action. It's asking us to decide, how are you going to move forward? How are you going to do things? So that's the energy here. And all this starts in the morning, and more than that, all this started with the new moon in Scorpio on November 4th. We've seen glimpses of this energy, right? Because that was the chart for the new moon. Mars was in a square with Saturn. Not exact, but it was. And now we are working through the process of what began on that new moon. And Wednesday morning is when the energy really peaks as to deciding things and changing and transforming and figuring out how we take action and do things. And towards the whole day, we'll really feel the intensity. But there's a healing, as was the case with the new moon in Scorpio, a healing transformation, a healing change. And soon after this, 4 p.m. Pacific time, so nighttime, Eastern time, the moon is squaring Uranus. And again, this is a sudden, unexpected change to how we feel. It is a feeling of feeling slightly frazzled. It's a feeling of feeling a little like there's too much going on, because all those things are Uranus, right? And this can also bring about a sudden, unexpected change to our emotions that helps us embrace our unique, authentic self a little bit more. So this is that energy. And as and that's pretty much it for today, but we are seeing this energy here build up to its opposition to Uranus, right? We're seeing that. And the moon here has also squared all this energy. As we spoke about Saturn, the moon also squared all this energy. So to sum up Wednesday, there's a lot going on, and Wednesday is a day that might feel like a lot, right? It may feel like a lot of decisions need to be made, a lot of changes need to be made, it's required, commitments need to be made. And it's not just to one thing, it involves our mind, our thinking, our emotions, how we do things, how we take action, our courage, communication. Everything is being impacted on Wednesday in a way that's asking us to decide these things, commit in a certain way when it comes to these things, and just work really hard on these things. So that's Wednesday. And all these commitments, decisions, hard work, all this energy is something rooted to the new moon in Scorpio. We've seen glimpses of it. Now the work starts, right? We work on that new moon in Scorpio energy for 2 weeks. So now we are working on that energy. And Wednesday is the most intense day of the week, and then it begins to ease out. So moving on to Thursday. Thursday, November 11th, we have the first quarter square of the moon. Now, this is a point where we begin to really, resolve things and overcome things, little things connected to the new moon in Scorpio. So the new moon in Scorpio was about transformation, right? It was about endings and beginnings. And now, till the full moon partial lunar eclipse on November 19th, starting November 11th, Thursday, we are going to be figuring out, okay, how do I make this transformation? Okay, I need to end this, but what's the best way to end this? Or I need to begin this new thing. How do I begin it? Or, okay, I'm going through a spiritual transformation. What can I do to improve it? What practices can I take up? So it's that energy where we figure out more of what we planted, what we seeded, what began on the new moon in Scorpio for the next 7 to 8 days. So that's how we enter Thursday, right? With the first quarter square of the moon. And Thursday also, there's not much happening. So let's see the chart. The first thing that I want to speak about, actually, the only thing that I want to speak about, is a positive one. We have the moon conjunct Jupiter. So this is where we can start to feel positive again, because Wednesday, I'm not going to lie, can be a very intense day. And now the intensity has eased off on Thursday. So this moment here, noon Pacific time, so around late night eastern part of the world, we're feeling a little positive again. Jupiter has met our emotions. The planet of hope, optimism, joy has met up with our emotions, and it has infused our emotions with its hope, joy, optimism, and healing again. But at the same time, we do have this intensity building up. And again, this ties into the new moon. We felt it. We felt all this before. It's not new. It's just that it's playing itself out. The energy is now playing itself out. And that's all for Thursday. So we are seeing this opposition build. But another positive thing we are seeing build on Thursday is the Sun Neptune trine. We'll talk about this more when it happens. So Thursday is a day of relief. There's some intensity in the background, but it is a day where we start to regain that sense of joy and hope and optimism again. And let's move on to Friday, right? Now, Friday, okay, give me a moment. Let me move up the chart to Friday. So, Friday, a little after midnight, you can say, we have the moon changing signs. Now, this is a good thing, and this is midnight Friday, which makes it about noon or about 10-11 a.m. eastern part of the world. So the moon has changed signs. Now you can see on the chart it has entered the sign of Pisces. Now the intensity really eases off, because the moon in Aquarius, which it has been since, I believe, Tuesday. So Tuesday evening to about Friday, right? Thursday night, say Tuesday evenings to Thursday night, it's been intense. It's been very intense. But now the moon has changed signs, and now it's more about going with the flow. It's more about being spiritual and creative, or just going with the flow, taking it a little easy, right? So that's the energy for the next 2.5 days. And now let's talk about the Sun Neptune trine, because it comes exact at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So about Friday evening, Friday early night, Eastern time, and the sun at 20:32 is in a trine with Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of the higher realms, it's the planet of spirituality and creativity, and the sun is our consciousness, it's our soul. So, this is a positive aspect, and this could be a feeling of feeling spiritual and magical and creative, right? And it can also bring about a little bit of sensitivity to us because Neptune does that even in a positive aspect. We can feel a little overly sensitive because think about it, right? We connect to the spiritual world by being sensitive to it. So it does enhance our sensitivity in many ways. But this is probably a feeling of feeling creative and spiritual, and maybe in some ways positive emotionally. Both these planets are in water signs, trining in water signs. So by Friday, we are feeling that positivity. Started on Thursday, and then there's a positive aspect on Friday to continue that positivity. And then in the evening, we have another positive aspect, right? So let's see that. Let's see that. Now, this is 4 p.m. Pacific time, so early morning Saturday, eastern part of the world, or late night, depends where you're at. And what's happening here is that the moon, actually, let's just break this as one energy. The moon is trining all this energy. It will start its trine with Mars, move on to Mercury, and then the sun, right? So now our emotions are feeling supported. Till Wednesday, it was a lot of intensity, a lot of squares, a lot of work, but probably after the work comes an ease, right? You've studied for an exam, you've taken the exam, now you can relax. So it's like that. Wednesday was the exam, and now is the chill out time. So moon's gonna trine all this, it's gonna trine Mars, it's gonna trine Mercury, it's gonna trine the sun, and there's a brief chill out. There's a brief positivity to our emotions. We're feeling like we're feeling positive about something. Emotional positivity is there. And the only thing that can feel a little stressful at this point is the fact that Mercury here is building its opposition to Uranus. So this can feel like a lot. So although it's like, that day after the exam, those 2 days break after the exam, it's like getting ready. Okay, you're thinking, I've taken this one exam on Wednesday, and now I get to relax for 2 days. I have 3-4 days before my next exam. But as you get 2 days into that, by Friday, you start to think, okay, my next exam is coming up. Okay, I need to start working for it. So this is that energy. While there's a chill out happening, while we are feeling positive about our emotions and everything else, there might be some stress in the background because Mercury is getting ready to oppose Uranus, right? So that's Friday. Now moving on to Saturday. Saturday morning, you can say, is the exam, the next exam. And what's happening here is that Mercury is opposing Uranus. So this is about 8 a.m. Pacific time, Saturday evening, India time. Mercury and Uranus opposition has come exact. And Uranus is the planet of sudden changes. It's the planet of insights. It's a lot of energy, energy that comes in bursts. So that's Uranus, and Mercury is our logical mind. It's our communication. It's also our day to day, it's our lifestyle, it's our routine, it's our habits, it's our job. And now they are opposing, and the goal is to integrate these two elements, right? So this could be one of many things. First, it could be a sudden, unexpected change to our thinking or communication or lifestyle or routine or health or job, any one of these things. Or it could be a sudden insight. Uranus is the planet of sudden insights, and now it's contacting our logical mind. So, this could be a moment of realizations, of insights, of epiphanies. But Mercury is our logical mind, and Uranus is a lot of energy. So, this can be a moment, although we might receive insights, we might have realizations, we might change something in our routine or lifestyle or job or habits that connects us more with our authentic self. The feeling comes with a feeling of feeling frazzled, feeling like a lot of energy. So this is that energy here. And again, all this is connected to the new moon in Scorpio, right? All this is connected to the new moon in Scorpio. We are doing the work now to transform, to end things, to begin things, to grow spiritually, to heal ourselves, to release old emotions, catharsis, all those things. We are working now this week on those things. And moving on to about 1 p.m. Pacific time, which makes it late night eastern part of the world, the moon will conjunct Neptune. Now this can be a feeling of feeling a little low. To be honest with you, Neptune can do that, and now it's meeting up with our emotions. Now this could also be a feeling of feeling a little overly sensitive, reacting to things we might not react to otherwise. Alternatively, this could be a feeling of feeling very spiritual and creative, and it's a great time for spiritual things and creative things, and perhaps channeling this energy, Neptune conjunct the moon, into something spiritual and creative can deter us from feeling that feeling of feeling low or confused or just not being able to see things clearly or overly sensitive. So this is that energy here. And towards the end of the day, at about 10 p.m. on Saturday, which makes it about early morning Sunday eastern part of the world, the moon is going to sextile Pluto. So after Saturday, towards the end of the day, we go through another little transformation to our emotions, right? Pluto is transformations, it is catharsis, it is healing, and now in a positive way, it's contacting our emotions. So all that is happening, healing, catharsis, transformation, connected to our emotions, but it doesn't feel stressful. It's just happening. So that's Saturday. So Saturday, the morning up until about 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific time is intense. Mercury will oppose Uranus, and the moon Neptune conjunction can feel like a lot of sensitivity. But towards the evening, we have a positive aspect. So that's Saturday. And then moving into Sunday, we see another shift in energy now at about 9 a.m. Pacific time. So Sunday evening, Sunday night, for the eastern part of the world, the moon has changed signs. It's entered Aries. Now again, we go through a shift from a feeling like going with the flow and taking it a little easy. Now it's about taking action. It's about getting things done. It's about moving forward, and this energy can be impulsive. So just be mindful of that. And we will be in this energy for the next 2.5 days as we end the week. So the moon has changed signs, and soon after it changes signs in the morning, it does trine the south node. So there is an element, and sextile the north node. So there's an element here of leaving the past behind. South node is the past. This is a karmic zone, right? The south node, karmic point. And the north node is where we are headed, the future. And this is also a karmic point. And now the moon is contacting both these karmic points, one connected to the past, one connected to the future. So this point here is a karmic point which can really help us move one more step from the past, move away one more step from the past, and closer to the future. And it makes sense because this whole week, actually it will continue up into next week, is about transformation and healing and ending things and beginning things. So this is another moment here. And in the afternoon at about, is it the afternoon? Yeah. No, actually it's midnight. Let's see the time. Yeah, it's closer to midnight. So close to midnight Sunday, which makes it about late morning eastern part of the world. What's happening here is that Venus is squaring this energy right here as the moon gets ready to conjunct Chiron. So Monday morning, we can feel again, not Monday morning, this is midnight, right? So midnight, again, there's a feeling of not feeling the best when it comes to our relationships and projects, and even our emotions are involved, right? The moon is conjuncting Chiron. So this moment here can feel like, again, I don't feel good about my relationship. I don't feel good about my projects. It's that energy. But the goal here is to heal. With Chiron, it feels stressful, but the goal is always to heal. So, in some way, shape, or form, either through transforming our emotions, the moon, or transforming something in our relationships and projects, we need to find healing because Chiron is also healing. So, this is that energy where we will need to change something when it comes to our relationships or projects or just our emotions to heal ourselves. And that's it for the week, right? We do have the Sun Jupiter square building, so this is another intense aspect. And we also have Mars here getting ready to oppose Uranus exact. So we'll see all these things, and we also have the full moon partial lunar eclipse building up. And especially once the eclipse happens on November 19th, we will get into a karmic zone, right? Because we have an eclipse on November 19th and then one on December 4th, and that zone is a very karmic time, it's a very destined time. So we are a few days away from entering that zone, and we are prepping for it this week. We're making all those changes, we are letting go of things, we are working very hard this week. It's an intense week, but through intensity, through the squares and the oppositions, we can truly really grow and evolve. It does not happen through easy aspects. So this is one of those weeks, and we also have Venus entering its retrograde zone, which it will enter November 17th. So we are hitting a very karmic spot now, and according to me, we've already entered that karmic zone. Maybe not as much as what we will see starting on November 19th, but Scorpio by itself is a very karmic sign. We had a new moon in Scorpio, the energy we are working through this week. So the karmic stuff has began, but it will pick up intensity starting November 19th, and that's the week. So let's pick a card for this week, and then I will sum up each day after that. So as realignment, feel the ebb and flow of life. So I think this card is appropriate. We are going through a realignment. The new moon in Scorpio is a very powerful new moon about transforming and ending and beginning and realignment, right? We're really realigning things in our life. And Venus in Capricorn, Mercury in Scorpio, in a way supports that, because Venus in Capricorn is all about, am I willing to commit to this project? Can I take it seriously? Can I commit to this relationship? Can I commit to it for the long run? You know, that's the energy. And Mercury in Scorpio says, give me the truth. I don't care how painful it is. I don't care what the truth is. I want to know. I just want to know the truth. Speak to me in a truthful, intense manner. So this is a very intense week, and we really do need to find the truth and figure out whether we are ready to commit to things, to realign, right? Feel the ebb and flow of life, and we will feel the ebb and flow of life this week. But again, if it were up to me, it would be all positive. I'm a Sagittarian, right? I like positivity, but sometimes there is intensity in the chart, and I have to say it as it is. So, but intensity does not mean negativity. And I always say that to myself, intensity does not mean negativity, because my chart has gone through a lot of intensity, and the way I have figured out to get through that is to say intensity does not mean negativity. Intensity leads to growth and change. So that's what I say. Let's go with one more. Wisdom. We got this for the new moon, if I'm not mistaken. New moon or last week's reading, basically the energy for the new moon. And it says, wisdom, remember. And I think this is another reminder that continue to work from a place of wisdom. It'll be easier if we do that. Let's go with one more. Okay, no, let's do that again. Too many cards flipped. Peace, open your heart. So I think with the intensity and with all that we've been going through this year, with the Saturn Uranus square and what we went through last year, with the Saturn Pluto conjunction and a lot of intensity we've been through lately, and sometimes it's easier to close up your heart when things get intense or you've gone through a lot. But I think this is saying open up your heart. Maybe that's part of the realignment, learning to open up our hearts again. I'll use a different deck and then I will just sum up the week for you. Enlightenment. Maybe this is referring to Uranus because Uranus is the planet of sudden insights, epiphanies, and enlightenment. Perhaps there's a lot of potential for that because Scorpio is also spiritual transformation, right? It's the transformation from the lower vibration of Scorpio, the scorpion, into the higher vibration of Scorpio, the rising phoenix. And maybe this is a week with Uranus aspecting everything. It aspected the new moon exact. Maybe this is a week where we might find some insights, some epiphanies, and some spiritual growth to become more enlightened, whatever that means for you. To me, it means realizing that we're all connected and we all go through the same things and the same energies. And okay, let me use this deck. Imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind. And maybe this has something to do with the fact that Mercury is going to aspect Saturn and Uranus, and Neptune is going to trine the Sun. So, like I said, towards, I think it's Friday. Is it Friday? Yeah, it's Friday when the Sun Neptune trine comes exact, and maybe on that day we want to focus on being creative and spiritual and nourishing the creative aspect of our mind. So I'll pick the last card as a summary for this week's energy and then we'll close it out. Let's do that again. So this deck and another one of my decks, cards just keep falling out like this. Fork in the road. So I think this is one of those weeks where we must really decide which path to take, right? Because this new moon is a very powerful one. I don't think we've seen new moons as powerful, as intense as this one in a long time. And that's because 4 planets were direct on this new moon, which wasn't the case with the new moon in October. And Uranus is sudden change, right? We might need to make a sudden change. And why do I say Uranus is sudden change? Uranus opposed the new moon exact, right? Exact, almost exact. I think it was 6 minutes off, 6 or 7 minutes off. And we are working on that new moon in Scorpio energy, which is asking us to change and transform. And maybe for that, we need to choose a path, maybe switch paths, maybe make a decision. Because Saturn also squared the new moon, right? Saturn is decisions, it's commitment. So perhaps this is the week where that fork in the road becomes very apparent. And we must decide. Because it opposed Uranus, yes, but it also squared Saturn. Sudden changes with a feeling of feeling restricted, or sudden changes that come after taking decisions and making commitments, a fork in the road. And this week, we have what? We have Mars squaring Saturn. We have Mercury squaring Saturn. Saturn is the planet of decisions. We need to decide how to take action, and we need to decide how to communicate. We might also need to decide about our routine, our health, our job, our lifestyle, and our day to day. So this is a decision week. It's about deciding which road to take. And I did say before I picked this card that this will be the summary for this week. So I think this is a good card for the summary for the week, because it's saying that this is that week of where the paths split, right? We need to decide. We need to decide. Four planets are direct. It's not review anymore. Certain parts of our lives are still in review, but it's not review anymore. It's decision time. And this is one of those weeks where we will need to decide things. So I'll close it at that for the card reading. And to sum up the week, I would say Monday is a build up, and we begin to feel the intensity, right? We begin to feel the intensity, and the moon is in Capricorn on Monday. So a lot of focus will be on work, and Monday morning, especially, is a moment where we can feel a little wounded, we can feel a little hurt. So that's Monday. It's not a very intense day, but it's a day where the intensity for Wednesday is slowly building up. So we'll have that in the background. And then on Tuesday is a day where the intensity peaks a little bit more than Monday. The moon changes signs into Aquarius, which is a lot of intensity because Saturn is there, and it does so after conjuncting Pluto, a feeling of feeling a little heavy and feeling like, okay, I need to release these emotions, and releasing emotions doesn't always feel easy. So Tuesday is again a day where we take up the intensity a notch higher than Monday to build up for Wednesday's exam, so to speak, right? And Wednesday, we have the most intense day of the week. We have Mercury and Mars meet up, which means, and both Mercury and Mars will square Saturn. So, Wednesday is probably the day where we will be asked to decide about our thinking, about our communication, about how we want to move forward, about our lifestyle or job or health habits, right? So Wednesday is the day where the universe says, okay, it's time to decide about these things. It's time to commit to these things, something that you started doing on the new moon on November 4th. So what's the decision? What's the fork in the road, right? We have a fork in the road. So what path are you going to take? Wednesday is that question being posed to us. And it can feel intense because the moon also conjuncts Saturn that time. So everything is asked to be defined. It's that moment where we're saying, to put it simply, it's saying, what's the decision? Have you decided what to commit to, how to move forward? And there's also a bittersweet healing to all this. As we decide, there's some healing. And then moving on to Thursday, the energy does lift, the intensity does lighten up. To keep the analogy going, it's more like the day after the exam where you feel like, okay, now it's done. Even if it went badly or if it went whatever, however it was, I'm happy it's over. So Thursday is that energy, and the hope, the joy, the optimism will come back more on Thursday, but there's still a background intensity because we have one more exam left on Saturday. So we still have 2 days to go for that. So right now we're feeling a little relaxed on Thursday, but we have that at the back of our mind that, okay, Thursday the exam's coming up, I need to start prepping for it. And Friday, before the exam, there's a lot of positivity. There's a chance to be very creative and imaginative and spiritual on Friday. But we are feeling that exam, that opposition of Mercury and Uranus building. And then Saturday morning, we have the Mercury Uranus opposition come exact, a moment of realizations, epiphanies, even enlightenment, or just a sudden change to our diet, health, routine, job, lifestyle, all these things. And be mindful on Saturday morning to not communicate about things out of the blue, because Mercury's communication and its aspecting Uranus sudden. So there can be sudden communication. And if there is that sudden communication, maybe approach it with ease and a little bit of gentleness rather than just going all in. And that's Saturday. That's Saturday. And Sunday, we can start to feel Sunday night, because Venus does square Chiron on Sunday evening, right? Sunday midnight, actually. So the day is okay. The moon changes signs early in the morning at about 9 a.m. So we see a shift from going with the flow on about Thursday, especially Friday and Saturday. Sunday again, we say, okay, I need to take action. I need to make things happen. And it can be a very impulsive energy on Thursday as well. But towards late night, midnight, we can feel some sort of feeling of feeling wounded when it comes to our relationships and projects, because Chiron is squaring this while the moon is conjunct Chiron. So we are feeling a little bit of, okay, I don't feel good about my projects and relationships. But the goal here is to adjust something, change something, either in our relationships and projects or just in ourselves emotionally, so that that feeling of feeling wounded does not stay with us. So that's the week, and it's an intense week. This is the week where we will really work hard on the new moon energy that started on November 4th. And it's a very serious energy. Scorpio is a very serious sign. Capricorn is a very serious sign. And we have Venus in Capricorn, we have Pluto in Capricorn, we have Mars, Mercury, and the Sun in Scorpio. And Aquarius, it may not be as serious as Capricorn, but it's also a very mature energy. So we have a lot of serious energy this week that we have to go through. And but it's a positive one. There's always a silver lining, and through challenges, through change, through squares and oppositions, we evolve and grow. So this is one of those weeks, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you for my other videos. Bye.